We'll go ahead and call to order the meeting of the Carter County Commission in regular session, Monday, October the 21st, 2019 at 6 p.m. And I ask Mr. Smith, Gary Smith, if you would, sir, come up to the address plan. We appreciate it.
Good evening. Those of you who may not have been in county commission meeting before, in the unlikely event that we need to evacuate the building, our primary evacuation route is the south entrance, which is the monument side of the building, and we would assemble on the eastern side of the building in the parking lot. The secondary evacuation route is the stairwell across the elevator on the north end, and again, the assembly point is on the eastern side of the building. Just a note of courtesy, we do have an AED downstairs. We hope to not need that. And also another note of courtesy, the restrooms are located on the north end of the building, which is here on the first and second floor, and the second floor rooms are handicap accessible. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, very much. I would ask if you have a cell phone or digital gadget with you, would you please silence those at this time? I would appreciate that very much. Madam Clerk, call the roll. We're passing out the batteries in case you're interested. Mr. Jenkins done a fine job with that.
Well, put it in backwards, so maybe.
Do we have the 18 in here? But all county commissioners are present with the exception of our deceased Ronnie Tripp. At this time, I will add one item to your agenda that was brought to my attention at 4 o'clock this afternoon. It may have been something that was missed earlier. After number 12, would you please put number 13 as the Civil Air Patrol? They will be introduced by Commissioner Frazier. That's number 13 will be the Civil Air Patrol, introduced by Commissioner Frazier. That would be number 13 on our agenda. With that addition, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda with that change.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Mike Hill, to have a second, Commissioner Prophet. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll. All ayes, agenda is set. Thank you very much. Our opening prayer will be presented by Commissioner Willie Campbell, after which we remain standing, and Commissioner Travis Hill will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, God, Lord, as we bow our heads, God, and approach the throne of grace, Lord, as we know how, Lord. Thank you for this beautiful day, God, that you've restored upon each one of us, Lord. Let us get out of bed, put our feet to the floor, and take another breath, Lord. We give you the praise and the honor and the glory for it. God, we do thank you for your love, mercy, and grace that you have upon each one of us, God. Lord, we know there's one missing in our group tonight. Lord, we know where he's at. He's in the presence of you. Lord, we do miss him, but Lord, we know we love him, Lord. We know that you love him more. God, tonight we do pray, Lord, for each one that represents this commission. Lord, that you have your blessings upon them, that we use wisdom and knowledge, Lord, to make decisions. God, we do pray, Lord, for all the prayers that you've answered, Lord, and the ones you're going to answer. Lord, we just pray tonight, Lord, that you have your will and way, God, in each one of our lives. Lord, we pray, God, that you forgive us where we fail thee. Lord, and strengthen us, God, in the areas that we fail in. Lord, we ask these things in thy name. Amen. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball.
For those of you in attendance that may want an agenda, we have some extra agendas. I should have said that on the opening remarks up here on the rail if you'd like to get one of those. Number 7 on the agenda is recognition of elected officials and appointing officials and guests. Would you please stand? Let's give them a hand. We appreciate the work you do on a day-to-day basis for the county. Now I'll take a motion to accept the minutes as presented in your packet. Commissioner Blevins makes a motion to approve Commissioner Jenkins second. Any deletions, additions, corrections to the minutes? Travis, Commissioner Hill.
On page 67, the first sentence and the fourth sentence, Director Schubert's name is spelled wrong.
Please make that correction.
Who's that? Shooters.
Any other corrections in the minutes? Deletions, additions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll. Mr. Crockett.
I'm working on it.
Reveal the vote. Minutes stands approved. The next agenda item is approval of notary and bonds. Madam Clerk, would you read those for us, please?
Krista R. Morton, Tammy Blevins, Amanda Birchfield, and Russ Swain.
Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion made by Commissioner Cullen to approve, second by Commissioner Frazier. All in favor, Madam Clerk, call the roll. Stand approved. Thank you. Number 10 on the agenda, public comments. You'll have 5 minutes per person. Anyone who would like to come to the podium, give your name and address, and you have 5 minutes to speak on what, yes ma'am, in the green.
Well, right at Piedmont Street. We did not ask anyone to reinvent the wheel. We only asked for Carter County to enforce the rules, regulations, and laws that are on the books. When offices are here to protect our families and property values and sums it up in a job description of, I'm only required to do the minimum. Issues that could have been addressed if the public was notified, issues that could have been addressed when the property was sold. The inconsistencies with how these rules are applied just on my road alone, is why we will be making an appeal with the Equalization Board, me and 29 property owners. Why one home to obtain permits had to dig out a hillside to meet setback requirements, and then that field dirt is where now a mobile home sits with no setback requirements within sight of each other. A one-lane road that is only wide enough for one vehicle to drive at a time without pulling off into a yard has been deemed okay for increase of traffic with this property and is safe in case of an emergency. The purpose of this property is still in question, with the property owner calling it a transitional home where men are housed before graduating the program without supervision. And the permits were given for a rental property that has now been given the title of an unconventional rental, which to those of us that live around this group have serious safety concerns when the men are released for treatment and are housed there. This is not a church camp as previously said, or previously called. Some of these men come from jail and have to complete this recovery program. That's a big deal for our families because we are living in it and we're seeing what's happening. I provided a map that was brought into question because the property lines that are not 100% accurate. That does not change the picture where it is clearly visible that these homes do not meet setback requirements. We as neighbors have been advised to get fences, increase our lighting, purchase alarms, purchase more cameras. We are encouraged to increase our protection so this property can stay as is. So we, the property owners that have asked for help, will make an appeal to the Equalization Board and hopefully the circle will go around. We will pay less taxes, y'all will have less money.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else, public comments? Come and state your name and give your address, please, sir.
Be glad to. Leon Humphrey, 216 Humphrey Hollow Road, Watauga.
Thank you.
Time is of the essence. Time is of the essence. 1/4 of your term is up. You have 4 years here to do great things. Chairman Lyons, if you recall, in 2014, after one of these meetings, you, I, and the Buildings and Grounds Committee took a tour of the county. And there were a number of projects were outlined that needed your attention. And as a result, the county mayor, working with the Buildings and Grounds Committee, accomplished great things. There were a number of projects. There was no project manager. And I know that for the last year plus, somehow, beyond me, you have got caught up in a spin or in a fog, and you've discussed this, and you feel that there's an absolute need for a project manager. Look at this courtroom. This courtroom was renovated. The chairs that you have now have been here for 8 years, are doing a great job. They'll last for another 20 plus years because there were high-end components put into this renovation. There was no project manager. The roof on this building, there was no project manager. It was the county mayor working with the Buildings and Grounds Committee to take care of this. And those jobs that are of a scope that require a project manager, it's probably a multi-million-dollar project. Mr. Lyons, we had one of those. That was over the health department. It was $1 million roughly, taxpayers' money, and then with all the other grants that came in, it was well over $1 million. And we hired Reedy & Sykes, an architectural firm that's very well respected, very capable to handle that project. Then and only then do you need a project manager. The bulk of the time, otherwise, all these projects, whether it's the Folsom House, Mr. Gardner, you know all the work that we did over there, no project manager. Not needed. County mayor, working with the finance department, Buildings and Grounds, took care of those problems. And we were very successful. This roof's not leaking. We didn't have a project manager. We put it out for bids, what the need was, the requirements. We opened those bids to the finance department. We let those contracts Those contractors do have an insurance that protects them and us if there's a problem. There's not been one callback on any of those projects. So I think you've wasted a year talking about the idea of a project manager. You need to put that aside, put it to rest now and move on, because there's other things that you need to be addressing. Number 2, economic and community development. In 2016, the mayor started the Office of Economic and Community Development. We had employed, at that time, the only certified economic and community development person in all of East Tennessee, blessed with the state of Tennessee, and we started writing grants. In 2016, our first year, the results at the end of that, in 2017, we had $250,000 in small grants coming to this county. In 2018, we had $1 million on the table in various projects. Everything from our schools and our youth to taking care of the litter problem in this county. And recently, the state of Tennessee recognized that, and Mr. Ed Jordan was given state recognition. I know that because I was there. I was invited to come down because of all the efforts that we put forth in this county to make that happen. Time is of the essence. So you need to get down to business now. You need to quit all of this arguing and bickering and the discussions about putting people in place that are not qualified. In the real world, if you go to do a job, you have to meet certain minimum qualifications. Why would you want someone representing you in this county, as important as economic community development is, with no background or experience? You have to have people that know how to write a grant, but more importantly, not only to write a grant, but to write one in such a way that it will be sold and bought by the person that's granting that award. We were successful. No other county had the history that we did in that case. One last item. Now, those are 2 important things, food for thought. One last item, workforce development complex. There's nobody in this county right now, and I'm saying this because I've lived it. There's no one in this county that knows more about that workforce development complex than I do.
Mr. Humphrey, it's 5 minutes are up, sir.
Mr.
Can I take his place?
No, you can't take his place.
All right, can you yield my time?
You don't have time.
Okay, it's very important, Mr. Lyons. This is workforce development. It's something that's in front of me, and I'll try to make it as quick as
I
possible.
understand. If someone else there that's going to make public comments, would you give you another minute? That's fine.
Look, moderator, I'll give you 5 minutes. You don't have 5 minutes.
Workforce development, it's very important, folks. This is an issue.
1 minute.
Point of order.
Point of order.
That's propaganda to start with, but there's nobody can yield to it.
I've already said that, Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, sir.
I said that no commissioner could yield to him. And then I said if someone in the audience wanted to yield a minute to him, I'll take that. And Mr. Lewis, 1 minute. Go ahead.
Workforce development. In 2015, I spent, at the end of a 9-month period, reviewing 40,000 documents. We determined that Carter County Camara was a non-compliant entity. It was non-compliant in such a fashion that as county mayor, I could not sign an application for any grant coming in this county because that's the statute. That's one of the problems with that entity. The other problem, we put together a compliance report. There was 18 major violations where Carter County was concerned. So as a result, then commission initiated litigation against Carter County Camara to sever that relationship because it would not comply.
Your minute is up, Mr. Humphrey. Thank you, sir.
One last thing, Mr. Lyons. Any of you commissioners that are new, that have found yourself lost in the fog, if you want to know the story, and it's important that you know that story, because you're getting ready to make a decision here that's of the utmost importance, and you can break the taxpayers back in Carter County if you continue with bringing on staff and workforce development, because it's an upside down situation.
Any other public comments? Yes, ma'am, would you come forward, please? Please state your name and your address.
I'm Angie Odom. My home address is 132 Piedmont Street, but I'm here regarding the TLC Community Center and some information that I feel is important for our county. For one, our newest program at the center is called MAP. It's Monitoring and Protecting Children of Our Community. So I wasn't quite clear how big the first thing we were looking at, or how I'll say the biggest concern that I have that we have just now done for our first project. So what this is just ordinary people like us that look out for children and concerns of the community, and one of ours has been sex offenders, of making sure that when we see them out, we report and do things like that. So in the process of I have an alert when an address change comes up, an address came up. So when I was looking at that address on my search, it came up that this particular house is on state quarantine. That is the list that you all have here in front of you. It is from the Tennessee Environment. If you will look at this list, it is public knowledge. You can go onto it. So at that point, I didn't want to feel like I was only looking into one person's address. So we started going down because I knew that one, obviously, you know, is someone's living in it since it was new on the register. Unfortunately, 26 homes that are on this list are confirmed that people live in them right now. 4 are confirmed empty and 6 are unknown. So I was like, how is this possible? These are quarantined due to meth labs being inside. So then I talked to Chris Endell, who works on the state level. So then I also talked to Jim Deary, who is with the Dangerous Drug Task Force. So together, I also talked to Tom Smith, who is at the Carter County Sheriff's Department, and today I talked with Mike Cummings, who is with the Elizabeth Police Department. And because my concern is children. I've told y'all that all along. There are kids' toys. There's even an oxygen in use sign at some. So then what I have learned is I've been many times in Miss Brenda in the Register of Deeds office has been very helpful, is when they're quarantined, there's a whole list. I don't have time because I only got 5 minutes here to tell you. There's a whole list of what needs to be done, but they can't get a hygienist to have the home clean. Some of these homes have had on file at the Register of Deeds office. They have a certificate of fitness is what is issued, but it has not went through the Sheriff's Department. And Tom Smith informed me that how this happens is there has to be an issue of release, correct, in that. So these people haven't went through the right process of doing this for the ones that have done that, but not all of these homes have even had a hygienist or anything in, and there's zero proof of this, even at our Register of Deeds, because we printed off every one of them that's ever been through the Register of Deeds office. So, of course, my concern is of these families. Today, I did not mark on your form which ones are empty and, you know, or lived in for the sake of the privacy of the people that are there. But I want you to understand the people living there are not at fault. They could have been moved out many times. The house could have been sold. They may not even know that they're at risk or that this was once a meth lab. So my concern is with already the caseload that Tom Smith has, and I think Mike Little works in this too, we need to get on this pretty quickly. It can't sit idle because there are families currently in these homes and animals in this town out here. And let's talk animals. So there are pets and others, and the other concern is if they surrender and if they're in a meth home, is there protocol issues with the animal shelter, which made me think of that through this process. But it really concerns me if this is what we accidentally found, and this is the list. What about our sex offender list addresses? I've called every sheriff's department, spoke with the sex offender person who's in charge from Greenville, Mountain City on, and I've also talked to every DA's office. And I've noticed with that particular law, everyone has their own. Some counties are strict, some counties are lenient. So I'm now working with 2 state representatives and also with the legal department in Nashville to amend and make the sex offender law a little more clear, so we're all working across the board with the same interpretation of the law and making some certain amendments, such as mugshots need to be updated instead of 10 years ago mugshot with a current sex offender on the line, and then also if they are a minor, when they have convicted a crime, some will stay on the sex offender list when they're in their 20s and even 30s, but you will never see their name because it happened when they were a minor. So once they become of age, they need to be there. So they're not the ones at that time, if they're still on the registry driving our vans or also, with children in areas they're not. So we have a lot of work to do. This isn't to point fingers at anybody who wasn't doing their job, but I will tell you, I'm very concerned. I will tell you that the Elizabethton Police Department, all of their properties are cleared from what I was told today, except 2, but the county sees those properties. That's why they're not cleared yet. So whoever seizes them has to be the one to quarantine and provide this information to the state. So I would love to see that Carter County shows more clear properties when we're looking across the board in quarantined homes. So this is our first of probably others that you'll hear, but we just want to look out for the safety of our families and our kids. So I hope that's how this is tackled.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other public comments? Anyone want to speak? Seeing none? Oh, I'm sorry. Please give your name and address for the record.
Well, Livingston, Hampton. Ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of a touchy subject here tonight, but I want to continue something that happened Tuesday night at the book. They had a funeral, one of the comrades here, who's been here for years as a commissioner. You've been on this budget committee 3 different terms, if my memory is right. One of them, they had a commission meeting, or a budget meeting scheduled at the same time as this gentleman's funeral. He was a disabled vet. He's laying over there with a flag draped over him. They congregated back in the back, had a little get together. They come on over here, and they had in the back room back there, and had a budget meeting. Well, this gentleman was laying there with a flag draped over him. When they started his funeral, they come over here and come after the money. Money seems like it's just like cocaine. They can't leave it alone. What would have been the problem for waiting one more day? They didn't want to do that. They just act like he was a piece of garbage laying there with an American flag draped over him. Him a disabled vet. They have no sympathy for no vet, period. I want to tell you something. This is worse than what they did during the Vietnam War when the vets come back and they spit on them. This is 10 times worse than that, in my opinion. And I don't understand for my life why they couldn't have waited one more day to have that budget meeting. There's no call for it. Mr. Garland here, in fact, told me they were still going to have it. He said he did it all. And to me, that's not a very good leader.
Let me address that, and I'd like to say, through a whole committee, I reached out to every one of these people, and the friends were from 5 to 7 o'clock, which I asked every one of these a couple of days in advance if they would like to do this, postpone this thing, set it back to a later time. It was under the decision of the full budget committee. County attorney, he let us know that we could do that. It was with no disrespect at all that we did that. That to give everybody a chance to do this. We've got to be Open Meetings Act regulations, okay? To where you have to publicize meetings, things like that. This is going to put us behind. Absolutely no disrespect to Mr. Ronnie Trivett. And Roy, I take offense to this because you brought this up.
I did.
Where were you at that time?
Where were I?
Yes, sir.
I come
Where
to
were
the
you?
meeting to see where you was at because you were over there had a meeting in that funeral home.
And what were you addressing about 710?
Right here. I mean, right there in the other room.
You're saying we're disrespecting Mr. Trivett by being at that meeting, and you're sitting right in there with us?
That's correct.
So,
I come to see what you were doing because you was a friend of mine and a fellow veteran. And I'm telling you, this year is the most despicable.
Order. He said you're about this director forever.
He has a minute and a half left.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I want to make a motion that we silence Mr. Whatever his name is now, can you think of?
The order's the motion's out of order. Go ahead, finish.
Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, I've never seen nothing. I've had a lot of veterans call me and talk to me about this, and they say it's the most despicable thing that they can ever remember since the Vietnam War. When they come back and they spit on him, and they left him laying over there just like a sack of trash and walked off and left him, but wouldn't even have a funeral with him. This is about as bad as you can get.
Mr. Livingston, your time's up, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can I say something? Roy, you're out of 6th District. I've listened to you a lot. But I think the word of Mr. Garland, honestly, I do believe he did take the county rules and things in consideration. So I want this commission to get along. But out of Mr. Garland's respect for him, I do believe he has asked everybody, every time I've seen him, I do believe he stands up for what's right and what the laws is. I don't think he would have done anything personally. And that's what I'd like to.
Thank you, Mr. Livingston. Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just.
Thank you, Commissioner Bailey. Thank you, Commissioner Garland.
Why don't we have a 5-minute rule, Chairman?
Pardon?
Why don't we have a 5-minute rule? Everybody seems to just keep talking.
We do have a 5-minute rule, and he's within it. Because I have the county clerk telling me when the 5 minutes up. Because I try to focus on the floor.
But they keep
I
talking.
try to do my job on the floor. We do have a 5-minute rule. We'll continue to have a 5-minute rule until the rules and bylaws pass and make it different. One person continued to talk. He was under, as a matter of fact, county clerk, am I right? He was actually under 10 seconds, less than 5 minutes. I know the one that we're talking about that got more time.
No, Mr. Livingston just continued.
No, he did not. Well, he might have continued to talk after he left the podium.
Right.
You want me to have the sheriff to take him out?
Take it out.
Yeah, I figured some of you would want that. I'm going to be, listen to me, I'm going to be fair to everyone while I'm in this chair. And I'm going to try to do the right thing while I'm in this chair. And I'm going to try to enforce the rules and regulations that you all have entrusted me with. Now, if anyone wants to object to that and file a motion against that, then we'll get to that in a few minutes maybe. But now, Ms. June Griffin, and I want to say just a word, come on up, Ms. Griffin. Ms. Griffin called me on vacation twice. And Commissioner Blevins had already told me about Ms. Griffin. Ms. Griffin has driven all the way up here from Athens, Tennessee, and also taking care of a husband that has to have a round-the-clock caretaker. So, ma'am, we appreciate you being here. I'm sorry that it's got started off a little bit rough, but I know that you're going to make it just a little bit more smooth. So, we're glad to have you here and look forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Well, actually, I'm glad y'all are all alive. That's just like us, isn't it? We're alive, and we stand up for what we know and believe, and we settle it. And I'm glad to have my daughter-in-law's father and grandsons here. He's a McNabb. He went to Kings Mountain way back there. And when I come in this county, I just about take my shoes off. Because the reason I'm here tonight is to present you all with a certificate commending you for your resistance to the red flag laws. I'm the head of the Tennessee Committee for the Bill of Rights. And the red flag laws are some of the most dangerous things that have ever happened in our country. And as a member, as an instigator, a founder of the Bill of Rights of Tennessee, the Committee for the Bill of Rights. We hold an annual banquet. I wish you all could be there. But you took a stand so far with 7 counties that said we are going to stand on what those men went over there and fought for, is that Bill of Rights, particularly the Second Amendment. So my name is June Griffin, and I'm from Dayton, where we whipped the ACLU in 1925 over the matter of revolution. And I just have to say that it's just a privilege to be here, to see you all. The last time I was here, we had a wonderful meeting. Do anybody remember when you all passed the 10th Amendment resolution? I was happy to see your documents downstairs, and I was the chief in pushing for that law to give glory to God. I just want to give you one quote. I gave away these little copies. I think they're wonderful. And Harry Truman said this. He said, and these little booklets are great, because our Bill of Rights comes from the Bible. And he said, we get these from Isaiah and St. Paul. I don't think we emphasize that enough these days. If we don't have the proper moral foundation, we will soon end up with rights only for the state. So you all have taken this stand, and I came to convince you for taking this stand for our Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights, we're the only country that really stands for the Bill of Rights, which is the gift of God. So I would like to present, I suppose you would be the...
We could have the mayor maybe receive that, if that's okay, Ms. Griffin.
Certificate of recognition awarded to Carter County in recognition of the Gun Sanctuary Resolution dated this 21st day of October 2019, presented by the Tennessee Committee for the Bill of Rights, Jim Griffin Chairman and Jay Griffin Co-Chairman. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin, and you have a safe trip back to Dayton, Tennessee.
Welcome to our baby.
I think next on our agenda is Jillian Reese with the Carter County Drug Prevention Youth Coalition. Would you like to come on up?
Brought y'all some super cute kids to break up the drama. So my name is Jillian Reese. I have worked with many of you all. I'm so grateful for all of you all and the work that you do in our county. As the Director of Carter County Drug Prevention, we focus on 3 things. Prevention of alcohol, tobacco, and prescription drug abuse and misuse in our community, and the 12 to 24 age range. We have an amazing coalition of county, city, and homeschool students who come together once a month or more often and provide opportunities for peer-led education around those 3 target areas. They are super interested in legislation as well, so please utilize them as you wish. But they are just an amazing group of kiddos, and really want to share just a little bit with you today about something that they are passionate about and kind of have been focusing on. So I'll introduce them to you. This is Emma Carpenter. She's our Youth Coalition Vice President. Jocelyn Moore, our Youth Coalition President. Carter Townsend, our Social Media Coordinator, and Brooklyn Hyde. So Emma's going to speak to you guys for just a few minutes.
Good evening. My name is Emma Carpenter, and I'm here today proudly representing Carter County Drug Prevention. At CCDP, one of our many goals is to raise awareness and educate our peers through the hidden dangers of tobacco and substance abuse. We strive to protect the public from this ever-growing threat of vaping, smoking, and secondhand smoke, which brings us to this meeting tonight, we need your help. To be honest, we are disappointed to learn that we lack the votes to opt into Bill SB 9, HB 9. As you know, this bill will make our public playgrounds smoke-free and in turn much safer for children. To bring attention to the severity of littered cigarettes, we resolved to host a cleanup event. A small group of 12 ventured out to several parks in Elizabethton. I personally went to Cat Island Park along with 3 other members of our youth coalition. The rest of the group split up and went to other parks. We collected cigarette butts from the playgrounds and picnic areas for less than an hour. We were appalled to find that in such a short time, we collected 3 gallons worth of littered cigarette butts. I want to remind you that cigarette butts can take up to 10 years to deteriorate. They continue to pollute our grounds, waterways, and even poison wildlife through ingestion. Cigarette butts make up 50% of all litter, and 80% of this litter will find its way into lakes, rivers, and even the ocean. I also want to bring to light that discarded cigarette butts pose a threat to our environment in terms of fire. According to the National Fire Protection Agency, smoking materials can cause approximately 90,000 fires every year in the U.S. In this drought, I find these numbers unsettling. Another concern I have is when adults choose to smoke in parks and on playgrounds, it takes away the right to breathe in fresh, unpolluted air. The children of this community should have this right. My sister, who was born prematurely, should have this right. They should be able to play and breathe in air that isn't heavily polluted. Studies have shown that secondhand smoke contains more than 7,000 chemicals. Hundreds are toxic, and 70 are known to cause cancer. There is no risk level of exposure to secondhand smoke. Exposure causes numerous health problems in infants and children, such as more frequent and severe asthma attacks, respiratory infections, ear infections, eye diseases, SIDS, and even behavioral problems. We come today in hopes that you will listen to our plea and implement a solution. This bill isn't an enforcement bill. CCDP is willing and able to provide signage. The signs will state that smoking is prohibited on public playgrounds. This bill allows members of the public to help enforce smoke-free playgrounds, and the success depends on the cooperation of all. I'm grateful for your time and look forward to working together in the future. Does anyone have any questions?
So what we have provided you are some sample policies just to take a look at. This is something I know county parks aren't necessarily as numerous as city parks, but we're looking at this both for the county and the city. And we'd love to see these in place. We would love to help word these, help work through things. We feel like there have been a lot of misconceptions about the original bill that was proposed around enforcement, particularly costs involved, all of that. And so please call us if there are ever things like this that we can walk through with you. If you ever want a voice from some students that actually live here, please call us. And we're happy to answer questions or work with you however we can. Questions? Comments?
Thank you very much for coming, Shannon. Mr. Fraser, if you want to come on up and introduce your guest.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight it is my privilege to welcome the Civil Air Patrol to speak to you this evening. In attendance is Major Andrew Main, the Squadron Commander, Tammy Moore, who is also the senior member for our local chapter. She's feeling a little under the weather tonight, so presenting her instead will be Cadet First Lieutenant Daniel Dotson. I had the opportunity to instruct a lot of these young men and women recently in firearms training for their advancements. I felt that their message needed to be delivered to the Commission at large and the public, and it is an avenue for homeschoolers to access JROTC type programs, whereas they can't access the JROTC directly. Without further delay, I present Cadet First Lieutenant Daniel Dotson.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Cadet First Lieutenant Daniel Dotson. I'm a cadet at the Kingsport Composite Squadron of the Civil Air Patrol. And I'm here to present a little bit about what Civil Air Patrol is, what it can offer to the kids and potentially adults in New York County. So I'm going to just touch on a little bit of what Civil Air Patrol is as a national organization. First of all, it is the United States Air Force Auxiliary. As an auxiliary of the Air Force, we are counted in the total force of the Air Force. So when the Air Force tallies up all of its men, we are included in that. We are made up of volunteers. There are a few paid national positions, but the rest of us are volunteers. We have a senior member aspect of the program, which adult members who typically comprise of parents, retired military personnel, pilots, educators are generally senior members, and then we have cadets who range from the age of 12 to 21, who learn leadership and different things that we'll discuss in a few minutes. So if you could, next slide, please. Just a brief history of the Civil Air Patrol. The Civil Air Patrol was founded December 1st, 1941. This was a week prior to Pearl Harbor, and basically citizens wanted to be able to use their piloting skills to serve their country. They saw that there was a potential war, and they wanted to have those skills organized and ready to deploy if they couldn't use them overseas. During World War II, Civil Air Patrol actually was able to sink 2 U-boats that came close to the shore. They ran coastal patrols, they delivered supplies, they did search and rescue missions, they flew personnel, they towed targets for aircraft and other people practicing with firearms. After that, Civil Air Patrol became part of the Air Force after 1947 when the Air Force was created. Today, CAP has 3 main goals. The first one is emergency services. If you could advance the slide, please. The first one is emergency services, the second one is aerospace education, and the third one is cadet programs. For the first goal of emergency services, if you could advance the slide, please. And these are some images of Civil Air Patrol's volunteers during World War II. You can advance, please. One more. Okay, thank you. So these are some images of our emergency services capabilities. Civil Air Patrol conducts a large amount of the inland search and rescue for the United States. We have national cell phone forensics teams, national radar analysis teams that can help locate missing persons, locate missing aircraft. All of this is funded by the Air Force, and volunteers give up their time to accomplish these goals. So it is a much more cost-effective way for the government to solve these situations. Also, Civil Air Patrol provides imaging during disasters. Civil Air Patrol was the first non-military aircraft in the air after the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center. They delivered images to the incident commanders to draw maps and determine where the destruction was and organize the event. They also do that for floods, hurricanes, wildfires, every year that they happen. Civil Air Patrol also provides disaster relief. As a cadet member, I've been able to help 2017, I believe, there was a hurricane in North Carolina. I was able to go down there, help deliver supplies to people affected by that. We also fly medical supplies. We fly personnel if they're looking out for a wildfire. So those are just a brief summary of the things we do. Our second mission, if you could advance please, is aerospace education. We offer free orientation flights to cadets. So they get 5 free flights in a powered aircraft. They get 5 free flights in a glider. And so that's supposed to pique their interest in aviation. And if they're interested in continuing their aviation education, they have the opportunity to apply for scholarships, grants to continue it, potentially get their pilot's license, continue ground school or other things like that. We also have model rocketry, we have science, STEM kits, we have Cyber Patriot, which I'm actually a mentor for, and what that is a cybersecurity awareness, and it's actually a competition that thousands of teams across the nation participate in, and they learn cyber defense skills, and they put those to the test during competition. And then also, as I mentioned, there are also scholarships available if those kids are interested in continuing their flight education. Then the last aspect of the Civil Air Patrol is cadet programs. And there are 4 key missions to cadet programs. There's leadership, aerospace, physical fitness, and character. As far as leadership goes, we are a military-style organization. We have the organization structure of the Air Force. Even in cadet squadrons, we have a commander, we have first sergeants. We have the organization, so it teaches us as cadets how to lead a group of 4 or 5 individuals. And then as you move up, you gain leadership skills that will help in any area of life. And I think that, personally, to me, is the most beneficial aspect of the program. And one of the reasons I feel fairly comfortable standing in front of a commission meeting and talking is because I've led countless classes, taught countless hours of drill to cadets over my 5 years of membership. So that's one of the great aspects and benefits to the program. Next is aerospace. As I've mentioned, cadets can receive aerospace education. Physical fitness, to proceed through the rank structure, you have to meet physical requirements, pass PT tests, that type of thing. Also, the last aspect is character. We have character development officers, and we have classes where we discuss character. We also provide feedback to the cadets as they promote through the program. We have promotion boards where we discuss their progress and things that they can work on. Also, the program offers many activities. Nationally, you can go to powered flight academies, glider flight academies, emergency services training, where they actually take you for a week to show you how to search for an aircraft on the grounds. There are also engineering camps, there's civic leadership camps, there's cadet officer schools, there's many others that I don't have time to mention. But all of those are great opportunities for young people who may be still trying to figure out what they want to do in life to gain skills that will help them in any aspect of life. Just as I wrap this up, I'll talk a little bit about our squadron, if you can advance the slide. At Kingsport, we have probably around 40 active cadets around there. And we do all sorts of activities. We have color guards, we have orientation flights, we have cyber patriot teams, we're advancing in our drill. We participate in Wreaths Across America, where we raise money, place wreaths on the graves of veterans every December. And we do a lot of things, and it helps cadets get involved in the community, learn how to serve, learn how to work together. And if you advance the slide, I think there's a few pictures of our squadron. And these are just a few of this is our mission statement and motto. Our mission statement is to serve America by performing homeland security and humanitarian missions for our communities, states, and nations, to develop our country's youth and educate our citizens on the importance of air and space power. And we always emphasize our core values to our cadets of integrity, volunteer service, respect, and excellence in all we do. And these are a few pictures of our squadrons doing various activities. And some of these cadets are going to come up and just tell you a little bit about what they've been involved with and what they appreciate about the program. So if y'all would come up one at a time, we could just give a brief summary of what you've done. This is senior member Justin Newman.
Good evening. As you heard, I'm senior member Justin Newman. Recently became a senior member. I was a cadet for 4 years, I believe it's been now. In these 4 years, I haven't gotten to do as many of these special activities, things, all those that you've heard up there. I won't go into those again. But what I have been able to do, and what I actually enjoy most about this program, is every meeting that I go to. At first, of course, when I was younger, I didn't notice this because it was happening in me, is the change in me. Character development, as you saw up there. The opportunities that this program provides for young adults, not just homeschooled, of course, but for homeschoolers, there's no program like this. But the opportunities that this program provides, there is nothing like it. It's a very good character builder. And honestly, that's just what I like to see most, is young men and women seeing the change in them as they develop, as they grow older.
I'm Cadet Technical Sergeant Esther Morton, and I have been in CB for a little bit over a year, and I have enjoyed everything about it. And my favorite thing is probably the drilling and the marching, and I really appreciate the aerospace opportunities that they give us.
I'm Cadet Senior Airman Andrew Tilton, and I like CAP the most because the opportunities it gives you. I got to attend an encampment this year, which is showing you all the core values like he described in his speech: integrity first, volunteer service, excellence in all, giving and respect. So that's what I enjoy most about that.
Good evening, I am Senior Airman May Tilton. I've loved CAP since I joined. It's helped me develop very good leadership skills I'm still working on. Very good. Every time I walk into a meeting at CAP, the cadets, they always are changing and they're always growing. And it's amazing to see that change in young people like that. That's what I like most about CAP. Thank you.
Any questions that you all might have? And the reason we were brought up here to talk about it, several members of this commission, or at least one, and several members of the public here would like to look into the possibility of starting a squadron in Elizabethton. And there was one many years ago at the airport. But we would certainly be willing to help you work through any steps that you would need help with in establishment. Any questions?
What is the annual fees for your organization?
Membership for a cadet is about $28, well, right now it's $28, so around $30 a year for a cadet. And you are provided with a standard blue uniform for free. Other things beyond that you have to purchase. Any other questions? Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Before we get to the next agenda item, which is recognition for Commissioner Trivett. If I don't do this, I'll forget. Commissioner Jenkins, would you do me a favor with your chairman? Yes, your committee still, sir, is that right? Will you go back to that committee, look at public comments, see if there's any tweaking that needs to be done with public comments?
I'll put it in.
I think there was a tense moment, as everyone saw. I'm trying to do the best I can up here to try to implement the policy and procedures you've all given me. And I would like some clarification on, in particular, can someone yield to another person? Please do that for me. We're down to number 14 on your agenda, if you change your numbers. Recognition of Commissioner Ronnie Trivett. I would like to start just a couple of words, and then I'm going to open it up to the commissioners. If you would like to say anything about Ronnie, let's play ball or whatever y'all want to say. Ronnie was my friend. Ronnie served this county well. I think he always had his heart in the right place. Not to say that he wasn't jockeying and dealing and wheeling and dealing all the time. But I really do believe that he tried to do the right thing for the people of Carter County. He will be missed. He's in a better place if you're a believer. I believe that with all my heart. We're going to take a special time. I'll go ahead and say this. Next month, after I communicate with the family to see if they would be willing to do this early. And I'd like the mayor and myself to try to get together with some kind of plaque to present to the family for his service. And also during this time, I was out with surgery when Commissioner Rick Richardson passed away. So I wanted to say a few words about Rick as well. He was very good with me. He tried to work with me. He was a decent man. I think he cared for people. And I also think that he's in a better place, if you are a believer. So with that being said, I'll open it up for commissioners if you want to say anything. What I plan to do is we'll have comments from you guys, and then we will all stand and we'll have a brief period of silent prayer. But the floor is open for comments.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate, Ronnie, the dedication you had to this committee. And you did a great job. You like Joe. And I went over to see him. It was on Thursday. This before he passed on Friday. I had prayer with him. He had a little dog there. And the little dog wanted in the bed. So I got the little dog up, put it in bed with him. Then the little dog tried to eat me up. I took Ronnie by the hand and he rolled to his side. And he told me, he said, I don't want to fight this again. And he said, I'd rather go home and be with the Lord. And while I was praying with him, the dog crawled up in between him and me and lay there with us. And, I missed his wife somewhere along the way. What Mr. Livingston said, let me say this, that the night of the funeral, we didn't stay, as you said, we showed our respect. And we also, I went to and talked to his wife, and she said, Ronnie said you were over there, and she said, y'all were having a meeting tonight, is that correct? And I said, yeah. She said, that's exactly what Ronnie would want. And I'm sure that's what he would want. I thank God for good friend.
Commissioner Brown.
I'd just like to say that he was a dear friend, and he put his heart and soul into this commission and doing the best that he could for this county. He was here on nights that he didn't feel like being here, but I know deep down in my heart he give it 110% every meeting, and he will be missed.
Commissioner Jenkins. Commissioner Fontaine. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead. Commissioner Jenkins, go ahead, please.
I have to say, when I first got voted in, Ronnie, he was there. He was a friend. He's a true leader. He helped out in many situations. And, just like any friendship, we fought, we disagreed, we agreed, came back, fought some more, talked about it, but we never was mad at each other. We had good conversations. He was a good mentor to me. Called me cuz, because we was distant cousins. I don't know, 3 or 4 down the line. I knew when I seen him, the caller ID call, I knew I was probably in for a 30 or 40 minute conversation, which is good. I never regretted, not 1 minute spent talking with him. And I have to echo what Willie said. That man, he loved his county and he loved his family. And if he would have wanted that meeting to go on, this county business to go on, not to slow down because of him. He respected this county and he loved it, and he put every ounce of energy that he could in it. And I respect him for that. He showed me what, work in this county can do. He never stopped. We talked, some personal business, but he always had business to talk to. And, he knew it. He stayed on track. And I respect the crap out of him for showing me the ropes when I first came in, and always being in a room with a smile when I walked in. He nominated me for Rules and Bylaws Chairman, and here I am 5 years later. You know, I never would have thought, never would I have thought I would have been in that chair. But he's seen something I didn't. So, I'll truly miss my friend.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Von Cannon, did you want to speak, sir? Did you want to speak?
Ron and I were raised dirt poor. We lived in Elk Hills, and his family came out of Pokie. It was a little farther back in Spoonies than we were. Actually, you had to take the glass grapevine and swing on the left to get to his place. But we were so poor that we couldn't pay anything hardly. Neither of us paid much attention in school, or couldn't pay attention in school. But Ron and I started working in North American and a little older than he, not a little, considerably. And when I went back there in 1980 on the year's consulting effort, he took me under his wing and showed me around, and he said, "Hey," he said, "taught you everything that I know, and now you're my boss." But he was a great guy. Had a sense of humor that was a little quacky, but so do all of us. But I will miss him. He special place, knowing that he did well considering where we came from, or where he came from, and I was right behind him. Thank you.
Any other?
Ronnie, as Randall said, when I come on here and sat on the budget, he was a mentor to me and always good to me. He was one of my closest friends on this commission. So with what Roy said, it's really bugged me by what he said, and you know, I've had a hard time with that. Ronnie meant a lot to me, and thinking that I was disrespecting him at all by any way or his family, it's really hurt me. And you know, trying to get past that. But also, we kind of, when the budget was going on, we had our differences on, you know, a couple of things. And I didn't get a chance to see him before he passed away. And it's something that I'm going to have a hard time moving past and getting over with, not getting to talk to him and leave on really good terms like we always had before. But I love Ronnie, and it means no disrespect by anything that I've done to him. And I know he's looking down here, and I'm sure that he can forgive me for if he was offended or anybody was. I think that, or anything I've done in the past where we had a disagreement, that we could get by that. So,
thank you, Chairman. Commissioner Frazier?
Whenever I started on this commission and Mr. Lyons got sick, I got stuck into going to the budget committee, and Ronnie was the first person to stick out his hand and say, "Welcome aboard," and he kept giving me all kinds of insight as things were going on and information. He also illustrated what the question on the motion is very succinctly. But the only regret that I have is that I didn't get the chance to talk to Ronnie. I'd spoken with Patty, I think on Monday before, and she had said that he was sick. And I was getting ready to go to a convention, and I said, "I'll call him on Monday." Don't wait.
Mr. Blevins?
I know Ronnie, but before I was elected to the commission. And when I first meeting I attended, he was sitting down there in his old van smoking a cigarette. He rode his horn and said, "Smoking." I walked over. Of course, I lit me up a cigarette too with him. He said, "Well, congratulations." And he said, "I want to give you advice, help you listen to the people that put you in office, listen to their concerns. And you should don't go in our gut hole try to think you just do everything because you can. And he gave me a lot of good advice along the way. And I hate and apologize that I didn't get to attend his funeral. I had to go to Mercer with my daughter. I'm going to miss him. As he says, play ball, play ball.
Mr. Grindstaff?
Everybody else has shared their budget committee stories, and I'll share one of mine. Of course, this is my 5th year being on county commission. I've been very lucky, very blessed to get to be on this wonderful body. But I'll never forget my first year that I was on budget committee. I was actually sitting on building and grounds, and our other representative, Elsie Tester, he wasn't going to be able to make the committee meetings and the set aside the time to attend. And so they asked me if I would sit in on these meetings. And I'll never forget coming in, and Ronnie was sitting there drinking a Dr. Young. He looked at me and went, Grindstaff. So I walked over and he said, so you're going to sit on the budget? I said, yes, Ronnie. I said, I am. I said, I'm kind of nervous. I said, I don't know, been trying to pay attention, but if you haven't looked at our budget, it's a lot to keep up with, it's many lines. And he said, don't worry about it. He said, you'll be all right. He said, I know you'll be all right. And a little bit later, we started talking about the numbers. If you ever had a budget conversation with Ronnie could quote you numbers, and it'd be almost similar to Brad Burton quoting you numbers as far as what the finances were. And if you ever told him something, yeah, I know. And I'll never forget that. He was a great mentor to me, and I'll miss him dearly. And just to kind of piggyback on something that Ross said, even though Ross is the budget committee chairperson, he had 7 other members that had an input into that committee and into that time. And we all agreed that we would love to spend some time to go and sit in on the receiving of friends. But that ultimately we believe that Ronnie would want us to have that meeting and carry out county business. And while we were there, we all thought about Ronnie. We all thought about the way that Ronnie would vote, whether that was just to say, no against the minutes, or an arbitrary no with a smile on the wing. And we'll never forget that, and that's something I cherish very deeply.
Anyone else? Mr. Johnson?
Mr. Chairman, Ronnie was a true friend. We've been close friends since high school, where we graduated from the School of Higher Learning above the double tunnels. There's some things about his legacy that has not been spoken of, and I'd be reluctant not to say it. Number one, he was a Christian. He practiced his faith. He loved his family. He loved his community, and he served it well and with distinction. The other part of that is that he was a patriot. He served his country with pride and distinction to retirement. And he always was always proud, and we were proud of him in the service that he did. And I would say that he served the people of our community without question, going above and beyond sometimes of what is required by a commissioner, but he is noted in his faith in itself. And he'll be dearly missed in our community. So much that, as far as I can remember, Ronnie has always been the #1 vote getter at election day. I don't know of anybody that's come close to his number. And even myself, I try to figure where in the world did that guy just sit on the front porch. He ain't out running the streets, and he just waves at everybody. But I'll deeply miss him, but I know that he is before the throne of God.
Mr. Collar?
I knew Ronnie long before I came here with the commission. Ronnie used to camp in Ensco with my sister and her husband, my aunt and uncle, and I can tell you he was one heck of a horse to play.
Anyone else? Commissioner Crawford.
Well, sad so much has been said about Ronnie, there's not a whole lot that I can add to it about his political career and his concern for the county and its well-being. It's pretty obvious that he was a go-getter. But I moved here from Sullivan County in 1977. It seems like I've known him since then. He's always around. I talk to him quite often on the phone. He was very concerned about issues going on, and we kind of discussed odds and ends. He never had really nothing negative to say about in Carter County or any commissioners. It just Ronnie. We had this thing about going over to Shoney's on breakfast, and we would always pick up Paul Gobble because he can't drive. He's a former commissioner, and he's not able to get out and get around like he once did. So we made a point to go over there and have a little fellowship. And like it's been brought up, we had prayer. He was a true Christian, and he was just a good friend of mine. I'm here only, well, I'm here because he wanted me to run for commissioner. I said, no, go ahead. I mean, just several times, the first time and this time. So here I am. He took me over to his home about 6 weeks prior to his death and showed me all around it. He was real proud of this place and his family. He was a real family person. He was just a kind person. And he was kind of crazy at times, but that's what I loved about him. He was just a good man. I really want to miss him. I know we all would too. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Any others? Seeing none, let's stand for a few moments of silent prayer. This may be a good time to take a 10-minute break. If you look at your agenda, the next item on the agenda is Resolution A, and I'll turn it over to Attorney General. Mr. Hart.
Yes, sir. This is a resolution in recognition of National Adoption Day and to proclaim the week of November 17th through 23rd, 2019 as Adoption Awareness Week. We do this pretty much annually, but here in Carter County, they're holding the actual Adoption Day event this year again on November 23rd here in this courtroom on Saturday, and there'll be undoubtedly many adoptions finalized that day for those of you who want to attend. But unless there's any questions, I'll stay with that summary.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt, Commissioner Travis Hill, second by Commissioner Mike Hill. Discussion? Sorry.
I would just like to say that this was moved to Washington County. It goes in cycles for the last couple of years, but if you haven't been to this event, it's really a heartwarming and touching experience. And as an adoptive parent myself, I was pleased to bring this out of committee. I would have moved to adopt, but Travis beat me to it, at least a little bit. But adoption really was one of the better decisions I've made in my life, and it's really a neat thing. I'm glad to see it come back to the county.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Charlie.
I'm sorry. All ayes, the resolution passed. Thank you, Commissioner Hill, for bringing it out of your committee. Very important. Go ahead.
The next resolution on your agenda is to enact a victims assistance assessment in Carter County to benefit, based on the recommendation of the Health and Welfare Committee, I believe it was. Yes, they recommended that this equally benefit the Shepherd's Inn and the Children's Advocacy Center in First Judicial District. And basically this is, state law provides for a $45 fee to be added to court costs for basically all criminal convictions in the county. And out of that money, $3 is used for the clerk, for the processing fee, and then the remaining $42, according to this proposal, would be divided equally between the Shepherd's Inn and the Children's Advocacy Center.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
Second.
Commissioner Collar made the motion, second by Commissioner Mike Hill. Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. All ayes, resolution passed. That's all the resolutions. We're going down to... Yes, sir, Commissioner Blevins.
Over the past 3 months or so, they go backwards and forwards at the planning committee. And what we need to do, we can't find out when people are appointed on the board, when their term expires. And so I would like to make a motion that we adopt the resolution and get our attorney Joshua Hart to draw it up that we go back and our term limit's established 4 years. And we go back and change the term limit. And that if you're sitting on the commission, if you're on that board, when your time is up, if you get paid or you don't run as a commissioner, when you leave, you automatically leave the board too, if you're on that board as a commissioner. And, you know, and go back and consider, we got 12 on it now. If I'm correct, state law requires us to have 1 term or 1 out of each school district. Isn't that right, Mr. Hart?
Yeah, there's various requirements. We're still, in my opinion, under the Private Act, but there's a lot of similarities in state law and the Private Act. So if we're going to comply, we can do that by saying the chairman of the commission stay on there anymore.
But just, you know, not trying to get out under the Private Act and leave it there, because we got more control over the board. If we leave it at the Private Act, and if we try to change it and go back to the state law, we've got a little bit more control over it. So I'd like to make a resolution that Mr. Hart draw up these documents for us and present it to the to the nominating committee, and they'll vote on it and bring it back before the full commission for next month.
So I want to make sure I'm hearing what your motion is, Mr. Blevins. Your motion is to draw up a resolution to shorten the number of people serving on the committee,
Yes,
and
sir.
also when they rotate off the committee.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second on the motion?
Very important, Mr. Compliance, state statute currently, co-terminus.
Yes. Do I hear a second on the motion? Second on the motion? No second on the motion failed, Commissioner Blevins. Okay, now moving on to Mayor Rusty Barnett's report.
chairman's do the talking, but I will be short. I do ask permission from the commission to sign the contract for a 3-star grant. We are working on grants just like it's always been. For $50,000, I'd like to have permission to sign that contract and be coming in sometime this week for $50,000 from the state with no matching funds.
Motion to approve that.
Second. Who made the motion? I'm sorry. Commissioner Mike Hill makes the motion to approve. Who's second? Apologize. Commissioner Frazier. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion. Please call the roll. Motion passed. Thank you very much.
On our next economic development, feature, the resort, it's been delayed a little bit, TDEC, helps us on a couple of minutes, but we'll still be going forward. We're still excited about it. We had a big meeting last week up at the resort area. TDEC is stepping up to, I thought communication was big, so we're going to start having meetings every 2 weeks to keep an update on what's going on. And so it will be going on, just a little delay with the sewer permits, but we will be going on with that. Tomorrow, got a meeting scheduled with move modular homes into the new school system. I got a meeting with this guy tomorrow for seeing how much it's going to cost to move that one, move the modular up through the 321 project we got for the fire and rescue modular up there. So I got a meeting with him tomorrow. We're going to go up there and see what to set it, how the best way to set it up. I'm going to show my plans that I showed building grounds, and I'll have some report to building grounds next meeting. In your packet, autopsy reports, 7 autopsies this month. That's about the average. Rural medicine, 7 autopsies. Had a meeting, complaints about the trees out here. Had a meeting with Mr. Whitehead. Got it set up 28th through the 30th. We're going to be cutting trees, trimming trees. And I requested her be present when we do it. So we've got trees to be cut off our property, and the 2 big ones right here that's about to fall over. So that'll be October 28th through the 30th. Got the 2 units have been completed at the annex over there, the heat and air units. Both those units have been completed. That is 30-year-old, pretty old units, so we replaced those 2. Roof leaking at the election commission. The new roof we got on the election commission, as we said, it's leaking. We got a guy checking it first thing in the morning. Take care of the leak at the election commission. Still looking for a 20,000 square foot building for the gentleman's wanting to bring his company from Greenville. He needs loading docks. We're working on finding something. Loading docks, 20,000 square foot building. Carter County tomorrow will be dissolved on the 1st of November. Their last meeting scheduled for November 6th, 12 o'clock, from 11 to 10 at the Carter County, at the Great Lakes building. So that'll be dissolved on 1st of November.
have somebody to take care of the building, so we'll take over 2 employees come under our watch. And we'll start setting up roundtables. As everybody's heard, Northeast states want to maybe pull out when their contract's up 2021. So I had a meeting with them, and we'll start setting up roundtable meetings to see what their status is, what it takes to keep them here. We cannot let that school leave. So I got any questions for me?
I have one.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay, the grants that we got way back when on the housing that everybody had to come in and apply for applications and all, do you have a list of all the people that grant has helped? I'd like to have a copy of that list.
I do not have it. First Tennessee Development has it. I can get that for you.
I'd like to have a copy of that.
Okay.
As far as the workforce development complex goes, it's the plans now that the county assumes operations on December 1st.
December 1st, okay. They wanted to do it in November, so they wouldn't have to do another audit. More money if they have to stay, so they won't be audit. It'll be December 1st. Yes.
Any word on the disposition of the leases? The subleases, more correct?
We assumed the leases. Mr. Hardy, you want to?
Yeah, I did get those copies of the leases from Brad a week or so ago. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no clause in there that would prevent our assumption of all those leases. So I think that we can do that. As I talked to the mayor about, obviously it's going to be a good practice to meet with those folks and let them know that that's happening. I think that's already been initiated. But yes, and some of those, there's I think 4 or 5 different leases. You know, for the most part, there's language in all of them that would allow an early termination if the lessee decided to. They're not long-term leases by any means. So I think it's in our best interest to meet with those folks about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, now we're down to committee reports. Chairman Garland, you want to start off with budget committee? Please.
How about agriculture? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Chairman. Got a little presentation, short clip of on YouTube that Abby's going to help us out with first. Before we get started, as far as agriculture goes, the ladies, Kathleen took a few girls to the National Horse Judging Competition. I think it was in Ohio. They left last week, about the middle of the week. They placed 17 out of 26 teams. And apparently it's very tight as far as the scoring goes. They were 70 points off first place, so they represented the county very well. I think there were some girls from Sullivan County that made up that team, I believe, and maybe some students from here, but 3 or 4 of them went up. They represented us well. I didn't bring home first place, but we're still proud of them. And I know Emily, she had asked me about, they've got a 4-H CTE program. There's some 4-H students at Happy Valley actually right now. They're offering some electrical, they're doing some electrical projects. They're looking for some sponsorship and fundraising. They needed about 150 kits. That was to finish this year out, I think some summer courses as well. And that was, I think, for really anybody, not just 4-H students looking for fundraising or some possible sponsorship on that. I think a kit's about $100. About $1,500 is what they were looking for. She's got a flyer made up that I can send out to everybody. So if you know of anybody, potential sponsors or somebody like to help 4-H, it is available. There's some time on that. We'll talk about the Christmas tree. That's been a hot topic. Apparently, we mentioned after budget. The next day it was on the news and everything. So I'll talk about that at budget. I don't think the tree's in as bad a shape as what is kind of has been reported. It's not going to just fall over and die or anything like that. But we certainly need to be proactive and do the best we can to, maintain it and keep the life of that thing as long as we can. But this was, I think they came to this Vicky before, and this is through, UT Extension, and came up with a nice little clip right here. A good time for Halloween coming up, so I thought we could share this with everyone.
Picturesque downtown Elizabethton, the town's showcase destination, a 134-foot covered bridge over the Doe River. Here, Carol Ann can go into the light. And a short distance away, there's the Folsom House, headquarters for the Carter County UT Extension Office. Vicki Clark is director here and says the old house, with its creaks and noises, has its strange moments.
We have some unexplained things, maybe.
The revival Greek-style clapboard-sided house was deeded to UT Extension years ago, but perhaps not everyone wants Extension to stay. Vicki was working late one night and clearly heard the front door open, but when she went out to see who was there, the place was empty. Nobody upstairs in the 4-H office, and the door was closed.
Went up the stairs and looked, no one was up there. Oh, okay, came back into my office, sat down, I'm gonna finish this up and leave. And about that time, all the lights in the reception area went off. I took that as a sign it was time to go home.
UT Extension has been here 43 years, but the house is much older than that. Built during the Civil War by Henderson Folsom, a Confederate Army officer, he kept a close eye on his neighbor across the street, a Union officer by the name of Samuel Carter. Warring neighbors close by, the Folsoms hid Confederate soldiers in their basement. And it's worth asking, could some of them still be down there? There was an unexplained incident with the vent in the kitchen.
And sure enough, the heat vent was rattling and lifting up out of the floor like something was trying to come up through the vent. And the next morning, all the kitchen cabinets were standing open, and we don't know who did that.
Well, maybe somebody was looking for a snack. Staff says they hear footsteps coming from upstairs from time to time, and for sure, no humans are there. While Extension employees might not totally be welcomed here, perhaps if there is another presence in the Folsom House, they can coexist with their county agents. There's always a standing invitation to come sit a spell. This is Charles Denny reporting.
I thought Vicki did a fantastic job in her acting. Really good. And we appreciate your bravery over there for working every day. But I'm sure that was displayed all 95 counties probably, but I mean, I had a chance to see doing all extensions, so, it's represented well again for Carter County, so we thank you for that and the participation in it. The tree lighting, that has been, there's a little been confusion on that. November 12th was the original date for that. I think they had a mix-up with the Elizabethton Choir, their ensemble. It's been moved to November 19th. So mark that down on your calendars. That has been a little conflict. So, and that's just news I found out today. So November 19th will be the official day of the tree lighting. I guess that would be about when it starts to get dark. I don't know the official time. And that was going to coincide with our regular meeting for November 12th, but since it's moved, so we should be good on that next agriculture meeting, November 12th. I think that's at 4 p.m., I believe. So, agriculture, any questions? All right. Well, thanks again, Vicki. Really well. And we'll move on over to budget. If you want to, I know minutes are in there. The packet that's got the line items, all that. We'll follow along. Brad made up a sheet to follow those. All right. And we will start another hot topic right here, which I think we can make some action tonight, and I'll put this in the form of a motion, is to approve the purchase of a building and land to serve as the recycling center. The request is for a total of $430,000 380 of that is for the purchase, 50,000 for improvements, and to get this place up and running.
Second.
Yeah, and this money coming from the unassigned fund balance.
Motion from Chairman Garland, second by Commissioner Culler. Any discussion? Questions?
We weren't able to really disclose the place at that time due to the seller's wishes on that.
And that still continues, so they would like to wait till all of their work's finished before that's disclosed.
Okay. But we're right there in a similar area, we can say that.
Questions? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Thank you. Next item, I'll put the form of a motion was approve the contribution of $25,000 from the Sports and Recreation Fund to the Roan Mountain Recreation Foundation. This is for the purchase of a tractor. The foundation will be responsible for storage and maintenance of this vehicle.
Here a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Brown, any questions?
This money was appropriated before, and so this is no new money or anything. It's just moving, allowing them to make it.
This tractor can be used in other areas.
Yes, yeah, and that was a stipulation. County employees can use it, with I guess, prior knowledge or something like that of using it. But and the attorney said that, our insurance would cover any employees who might use a tractor, so.
Other questions? Madam Clerk, call the roll. Please reveal the vote. Motion passed, Chairman.
The next item, we'll move to General Fund 101. I'll put that in the form of a motion. It's budget amendment number 3, 15 items, a total of $235,101.90. 7 items, $192,6277 from fund balance. 4 items, $19,183.77 from the unassigned fund balance.
Your second? Second. Second, Dr. Acuff, any questions? Any questions? Madam Clerk, call the roll. Motion passed, sir.
Next, and I'll put in the form of a motion is to approve the Drug Control Fund 122, Amendment 3, a total of $21,013. 4,013 of that will come from unassigned fund balance.
Your second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Blevins, any discussion? No discussion, Madam Clerk? I'm sorry, wait a minute, sorry. Sorry. Go ahead. Okay. Motion passed.
Next item, I'll put in the form of a motion to approve Highway and Public Works Fund 131, Amendment number 3, total of $95,181.94. 23,310.50 comes from the restricted fund balance, nothing from unassigned.
Second on the motion, Commissioner Travis Hill, second. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion. Madam Clerk, call the roll. Motion passed, Chairman.
All right, thank you. Next, the general purpose school fund. There was a couple corrections I think Brad saw on his spreadsheet there. If you want to make those corrections, we're talking about $10.13 or so. But it's item number 9. I think that's on page 18. Item 9 account. It's at the very bottom of that number 9 item. Number 34,560 account should be $19,553.99.
It's 553.99.
Yes, 553.99. And move on to 11. And the account on that one, 34,755, I think is the bottom as well. I should read 19,776.21. And that would calculate fund balance should be $69,914.31 at the end of the month.
Would you repeat that fund balance again, please?
Fund balance, $69,914.31. Pardon?
There was 69,000 on the fund balance. That you just announced. There's no attached to number in some document.
That's what we're trying to reconcile right here, change it, yeah. But I'll make the motion next on the school fund, and it will be the accurate numbers for that. Just wanted to clarify those if you had questions. And we'll move on. I will make the motion to approve general purpose school fund 141 amendment 3, 14 items for a total of $335,422.94.
There's a second on the motion, Commissioner Frazier, second. On the second, Chair. It was just no, he was just reconciling.
That was just some numbers to clarify. This is the amendment.
Questions on the motion? Anything at all? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Who was the second on that?
Commissioner Frazier.
Mr. Frazier.
Reveal the vote. Motion passed, Chairman.
Thank you. Next is a motion. I'll make a motion to approve Central Cafeteria Fund 143 Amendment 2. One item total of $208,347, nothing from fund balance.
Second, Commissioner Prophet. Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, call the roll. Reveal the vote. Motion passed, Chairman.
Thank you. Next item, I'll make a formal motion to approve monetary donations to the animal shelter, $730, drug control fund, $58.63, and the school department for $2,100.
Your second on the motion?
Second.
Commissioner Collar, second on the motion. Any questions? No questions? Madam Clerk, call the roll. Motion passed, Chairman.
Thank you. Next one is in the form of a motion to approve the non-monetary donations made to the animal shelter. Estimated value $629.25.
Second on the motion.
Second.
Commissioner Frazier, second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please. Bill the vote. Motion passed, Chairman.
I think I left over one there, but I'll put in a form of a motion to approve Head Start Fund 145, amendment number 1, total of $5,000, nothing from fund balance.
Second, Commissioner Culler, any questions? No questions, please call the roll. Bill the vote. Motion passed, Chairman.
Thank you. The next item, and I received this just earlier, this didn't have a chance to get the packets or anything like that. This was an amendment to the Solid Waste and Sanitation Fund, number 116. This is to allocate $24,000 from unassigned fund balance for paving required at the Roan Mountain Convenience Center. I think grant funds weren't available to pay for this expense, so we'll need to pay for that.
Second, Commissioner Blevins, any questions? Madam Clerk, call the roll. Bill the vote. Motion passed, Chairman.
All right. Thank you. Pretty much all I have right there. We did talk about the Christmas tree Monday night. We didn't make any formal motions to allocate any money or anything like that. I've had a couple quotes from a couple arborists, some certified guys. I went from $675 for some treatment up to about $1,000 for like a treatment that would need. First thing, I mean, there's a bunch of options that you can do to kind of care for that tree. It was mentioned that, you know, this treatment could be applied, you know, ourselves with the right pesticide, basically. That's another thing. I had 3 guys look at it, professionals. One said it's an aphid insect, the other says it's an adelgid, and one guy says it's scale. So there's 3 different kind of recommendations on what the insect is that's bothering the tree. I would like to get the girls, Kathleen, she was off today, but to get a sample from the tree, send it off to Extension, find out exactly what we're looking at. But in the meantime, we could do basically like a root soak ourselves. I've had, you know, one guy's estimate was $675. That was for a root injection into the trunk of the tree. A little more invasive. I think we need to do our best to kind of stay out of drilling holes in the tree or anything like that. A root soak, and this guy sent me a message today, about $300, which can be done. I thought, you know, if we could do it ourselves, or, you know, if the ladies over there, if we had somebody certified, you know, to do a pesticide, you know, treatment for that, and we could do it ourselves, probably save us a little money, just pay for the pesticide. I've got $300 was his estimate. It's been $675 for the injection and up to $1,000. I thought, and I'd like to put this in the form of a motion, if we allocate up to $500. I don't know if we can take that from the county buildings fund or something like that, Brad, something that may be appropriate, to go ahead and get that started. I think they mentioned doing it before the sap starts to go up the tree, and this is the appropriate time to do that. Just for kind of a quick treatment, in the future, we could allocate money, next year's budget, whatever, to, you know, start to maintain and care for this tree a little bit better, just put some funds in there and make it available. But this time, I would like to allocate up to $500 for this treatment that we could do, you know, as soon as possible.
Second, Commissioner Frazier, questions? Questions, Madam Clerk, call the roll. Motion passed.
Great, thank you. I'll get with some of these guys I've talked to, we're kind of get what treatment we need the best. Keith Hart, he treated it, I think, when he was in that position before, so I can talk to him and see kind of what treatment they used and see if we can do all that. But and it's not in grave danger. It certainly needs our care. And, you know, need to do it. One fellow wanted to do it before they light the tree up anyway. So just to, you know, not be around it so much. Thank you for that. We'll take care of it the best we can.
Sir, I would like to add, the display out front, thanks to Mr. Keith Hart. I think it was pretty good, so it's thanks to Mr. Keith Hart.
sir. Thank you, Chairman Garland.
Yes, last thing, we did, Veterans Day is, our next budget meeting falls on Veterans Day, we're supposed to, we decided to change that, and the date for that meeting, budget, November, what did we put, the 5th? Is that right? 6th? November 6th, 2019 at 5 p.m. in the conference room here. 5 p.m. Yeah, we want to do it a little bit earlier. I know it's church now on Wednesday, so that's why we chose the earlier time. So, Ms. Spears, if you can make that note, let them know on that. Chamber of Commerce meets this Thursday at 12 o'clock. Talk about some couple pretty important topics then. But tree lighting November 19th. Make that on your reschedule. That's all I've got. Any questions?
Thank you, sir. Okay, next committee, building and grounds.
Well, there's no new chairman for building and grounds at this time, and we'll just let the minutes reflect our last meeting.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ward.
Let me say something right
Yes,
on.
sir.
Sorry, Brad mentioned this also. The EOC, I think there's been some bids come in on that. I don't know, Brad, if you want to speak on that, or we're kind of looking for somebody, I guess, to approve these bids or find the one we want to go with, I think. Nobody's seen those. Right, hopefully the money's been
At this point, we're not really sure who approved that bid, but there is a contract waiting to be signed with the low bidder.
So bids haven't been approved, or there's only one bid, or?
No, there were 5 or 6.
So you had to add all of them to it, didn't you,
Right.
Different bids, they had all, okay.
What is this in reference to, Chairman?
I guess the Mr. Smith's building over there, I think we're talking about.
Emergency operations.
Yeah, approved that.
First and second district, but the county commissions also has to approve.
I didn't know if it came through a committee or.
Well, that was the plan that I thought we were going to follow, was go through buildings and grounds and then a budget plan for that.
It came through courtroom security, I don't think it ever made it to building and grounds.
We're speaking, we can get it on there, I guess, at the next meeting for.
So go through building and grounds budget, then back to the full commission. Is that fit with your schedule? What you think, Ms. Brad? All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is that all you have, Chairman Garland?
Yes.
Thank you. And our next committee would be the Education Committee. Any report? No report.
I'm the new chairman of the Education
I
Committee.
thought you were.
And we just
You want to say a lot about
reflect our
education?
meetings as well.
Let the minutes stand? Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dr. Ward, come on up, sir.
Yeah, right.
Chairman Ward, is it okay if Dr. Ward says something?
Sure is.
All right.
Share some information with you, and we'll take just a minute, share it with the Educational Committee in our last meeting. Didn't have enough copies for them, but we did receive or supplied. And it is the annual report for Carter County Schools 2018-19. What we have figured out is this is something, once it's completed, and it has been, of course, this is the first copy. The update will be much easier to manage as we move forward from year to year. This first draft and getting all the test groups and different departments and department heads in was.
Maybe let Dr. Ward use that microphone. I don't think people can hear that. Thank you, Dr.
2019 overview, and there's just one page, and I'll be very quick, I promise. And then there's page number 6, the academic spotlights. Last year, Carter County Schools was a level 5 composite growth district, advancing district. The next highest level is exemplary, that's a level 5, and that is, of course, what our goal is, what we're continuously working toward. We have 2 reward schools this year, Valley Forge Elementary, Happy Valley Elementary, and in years past, we've had Cloud Elementary, 2017-18, 2 different years, and Hampton Elementary, and then prior to that, Hunter Elementary, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was reward school 2 years in a row. Level 5 growth schools, Tennessee, and the way they measure the growth for individual schools and systems is from 1 to 5. We have 8 level 5 schools, and we're 3 level 4 schools. So out of 14 schools, we had a total of 11 schools that was 4 or level 5. Total scholarships, and this is something I'm very pleased with. Kudos to the counselors. The 4 high schools last year passed out a total of scholarship and aid, $6.9 million. And I think that's one of the largest numbers that our 4 high schools have passed out in 8 years that I've been the director. So I'm very proud of the school and each individual high school and each individual counselor and all the hard work that goes in to get these kids lined up for these scholarship. Work ethic diploma, we've been before you, we've talked about this program. It's a good program. It's a program that's growing. First year we had about 44 participants. This past year we had 67, and we're hoping and looking to see this program grow as we move forward. What this work ethic program does is it basically allows for students who wants to participate. There's a 20-point scale. If they reach the 20-point mark and by submitting themselves to a drug test, it's like an automatic 5 points. So it gives them 25% of all of their points needed to reach the level. At graduation, they're recognized as a work ethic diploma recipient along with their regular diploma. What this diploma does is it guarantees them an interview once they get out of school, once they get out of vocational school or college, with the participating partners, Snap-on Tools, Mountain State Health Alliance, so on and so forth. So it's a great program for a kid to participate in, get that opportunity to get in front of somebody and sell themselves. So, and by the numbers, graduation rate last year was 91%, ACT composite 19.3%, college ready ACT composite 25.9%, percentage of ready graduates 29.7%, 3.5 success rate 35%, 6.8 32, and 9.12 24. Those are 3 areas that we're working on. Now, one of the things that over the last year that has happened, those students have come out of Hampton Valley Middle School. If I'm not mistaken, one was an 8th grader, one was a freshman. We had a 8th grade girl that scored a 34 on her ACT, and then an 8th grade, or I'm sorry, a freshman boy took his test last year, scored a 30, I think it was a 33, or vice versa. But these 2 individuals are competing with one another, and they're studying because they've got 2 more years to take this thing. So we love to see that type of competitiveness when it comes to academics, and want to do better on the ACT. One of the goals as we move into this year, as we have discussed, and you probably read the paper, is chronic absenteeism. We have taken a pretty firm stance against, just letting a kid stay at home. There's a difference, and I think that's the important thing for parents to understand, and that's what we've been trying to communicate. There's a difference when a child's sick, and children are going to get sick, especially when a virus runs through a 3rd grade classroom. We understand that. We're not that uncompassionate. So what chronic absenteeism reflects is children being there and parents getting up and getting them there, or getting them out to the bus so that they can get on the bus to get to school. So, that's something we have we have worked hard this year on as we move into this, towards the end of this second semester here in the next couple of months. As you look through it, there'll be highlights of technology and other different programs. And we have a meeting tomorrow night. It's a workshop. It's at 5:30. It's at Central Office. Our regular scheduled board meeting for this month will be this Thursday night at 5:30, and it will be at Valley Forge Elementary. And then in the month of November, that is the Tennessee School Board Retreat, board member retreat. So the board doesn't meet in November. So if you have any questions, you can ask me now, or feel free to give me a phone call.
Dr. Ward, on
Yes.
page 16, under Head Start, I'll be attending a conference tomorrow on Head Start and the federal program. And I see the number 153 on the top row on the first sentence. Carter County enrolls 50, that's what they enrolled last year, that's what they enrolled here. Why the same number?
We are given so many numbers as it, from year to year. We have a number that each district or each program can enroll kids in. That number has been consistent for the last couple, 2 or 3 years with preschool as well.
So you actually enroll more than this. You actually.
No, that's how many.
More than 153.
No, actually, we've got 153. That is the number. That is the cutoff. The funds that we get, yeah, that's a cutoff number. The funds that we get, and each year we max our numbers out. We don't ever come up short. Usually we
Since
never.
this is such a good program, why not expand the program from 153 to some other number, because that's never budgeted.
It would be good to have Head Start at every school, every location. Of course, it is all about funding, and that's how we manage those funds based on numbers, based on the funds that we get from the federal government.
What would it cost to do 20 more students if they were also?
Another teacher, another aide, classroom space, which we could probably find if we had.
Would the board look at that, because this is probably the most important program in school.
But
If they don't get a good start here, they're dead meat.
Yeah, one of the things that we would have to have is, Upper East Tennessee Human Development Agency. I guess the board that you sit on, Tim and his staff, they do an outstanding job, so they would actually have to work with us to help us, create any additional classrooms if we were looking at doing that. But it's a great program. We have a preschool program too that's very beneficial to our young kids. Any more questions? Thank you, I appreciate your time. Thank you for the job you've done.
Okay, Health and Welfare Committee.
Mr. Chair, we'll let the minutes reflect.
Thank you, sir. Landfill Committee, Commissioner Feller, Chairwoman Feller.
Pretty much the minutes did reflect, but I wanted to say thank you for the vote tonight on all items for the landfill. I wanted to tell you that Benny and I have been trying to get everything organized so we're ready for tonight. Trying to get the recycling back in business. Hopefully 6 to 8 weeks we will be up and running. I can tell you that Roan Mountain's looking great. I think he's going to move the building in on Wednesday. And so we'll have that one open probably by the second week of November, something like that. So we're looking forward to that as well. And I was feeling good about the vote tonight, so prior to the meeting I met with Mr. Harden for a brief moment, and we have a meeting in the morning with the seller, so we are going to progress with that very quickly. But again, I ask that if you do know where the property is, that you're not making comment, they would prefer it not be said at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Law Enforcement Committee. The minutes reflect. No report. Nominating Committee. Would be.
and we filled 2 vacancies. We done a reappointment on a couple positions or spots on Parks and Rec. The committee nominated Mike Mountain and Charlie Mattioli for reappointment, and I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second, Commissioner Colvin. Discussion. And clerk call the roll. Reveal the vote. Pass, Chairwoman. Commissioner Colvin.
We also filled a spot on the library board. The committee nominated Dustin Hensley to the library board, and I'll put that in the form of a motion also.
Second, Commissioner Grindstaff. Call the roll. Motion passed.
And there is an open position for the Industrial Development Board. That will be re-advertised again. Commissioner Jenkins put in for that, but we were made aware by Attorney Harden that an elected official or a county employee cannot be on that board. So that will be re-advertised. If you do know anybody who would be interested, will be accepted.
So you all will re-advertise? Thank you. Rules and bylaws, Commissioner Jenkins.
The minutes reflect, I do want to say one thing, that the next meeting, we're going to have the Roll Call Pro do a demonstration for a new interface, basically. So we will be able to vote off our phones, off our devices, and there'll be a different interface up there. So they'll be at the next rules and bylaws if anybody wants to come out and see it firsthand.
Anything else? Okay, I saw animal shelter board minutes. Does anyone want to say anything about those minutes?
The minutes reflect, we can tell you that we're continuing to work on the building, and we're being very successful on the finalization of the cat run, not the cat run, but the dog runs and the cat. So it's
Okay,
very
thank you.
Thank you.
I also saw several minutes in here on the beer board, Mr. Hill. You got that committee's kicked in gear, I think.
I don't have any pending applications, but there have been a couple in the last couple of months. They were all qualified candidates.
Thank you. Commissioner Collins.
Just a second to find it. There was one that there was no action on, and I wonder if it actually indicated who brought it to this meeting. That's the on and off premise for the Creekside Burger and Bar. Would y'all do anything with that?
It's missing a page.
Oh, it's missing page? Oh, okay. Because I kept looking at it, and I saw the approval or disapproval. So I'm curious as to why. Thank you.
Any comments on the courthouse security minutes? It's also in the packet. Anyone want to comment on those that's on that? Saying none, we'll just go ahead and read the minutes. As presented, right, Dr. Aker? That's what you do. Parks and Rec, I think we've already touched on that to some degree. Any comments on Parks and Rec? I don't want to leave any of this stuff out. Okay. Any other boards?
Highway Committee.
Highway Committee. Come on up, Commissioner Bradley. Go ahead, sir.
Just one little item here. It was Larry Ford. He come before the committee and asked for the petition signed. Wanted us to name a bridge after Staff Sergeant Larry Jerome Lyons. Any relation, I guess. At Montmartin 2 and Highway 361 at Larry. I put that form of a motion.
A motion, your second on that, Commissioner Collar, second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please call the roll. Reveal the vote. Motion passed, Chairman Blevins. Okay. Any other boards that I have overlooked? Financial Management Committee, Chairman Johnson.
Let the minutes reflect our meeting, and if there's any questions, I'll take them.
Any question for Chairman Johnson? Thank you, sir. Now we come to our county attorney report. Go ahead.
Just want to report on library board. I did select a new director, it's Bernadette Weiss. I think they sent out an email for a meet and greet tomorrow, 12 to 2 at the library.
Bob, let me clarify something with Commissioner Blevins. Are you asking me to do this resolution for the highway committee next month?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Is this a state highway or is it a county road? State? Okay, we'll have to prepare the resolution to send on to the General Assembly in Nashville.
Highway 361.
Okay, it'll be like the first year before they'll actually take action on it. We'll do our part next month.
Thanks,
Okay. As far as my report this month, as always, it'll be in the written minutes. I would point out, just as a general update on litigation, the litter code violation prosecutions are ongoing. There's 10 active cases that are set for contempt hearings before the Chancellor here in this room on October 30th at 9 a.m. So there's at least 10 cases on which we've obtained judgments, which our position is are still not compliant, so we'll be before the Chancellor for relief on those cases. A couple of federal court cases were filed this month, both involving the Sheriff's Office, both of which I believe have no merit, but have been forwarded on in our insurance carrier. We're providing representation on that. One's in Federal District Court for Eastern District, one for the Middle, and both basically involve disgruntled former inmates. There was a class action suit the county voted to participate in sometime back regarding federal pilot, essentially federal lands where the proper payments weren't received by the county, and that case has been settled, and there will be a payment forthcoming there. I'm not sure the exact amount, but I think it's around $2,500. Okay, so $2,500 we received in a nationwide class action suit for simply sending in a form, so at least we obtained something there. As far as the rest of our report, like I said, generally it's in the minutes. However, before we conclude, if this is the appropriate time, we need to have a brief attorney-client session regarding the email I sent everybody late this afternoon. So if the chairman...
So we would ask all people except commissioners, our attorney, and myself, being a commissioner, remain in the courtroom. We're going into executive session to hear about the legal advice. Okay, we're down to our agenda on commissioner comments at this time. Any commissioner comments? Mr. Von Cannon?
2 or 3 things that are a concern. Number 1, the workforce complex. It seems that we're not on top of that situation. As to where we're going, who's going to take care of it, I would suggest this, to come to buildings and grounds and allocate some commissioner to work with the buildings and grounds. If he wasn't on the buildings and grounds committee, someone like Austin James that knows buildings, he knows electricity, he knows what needs to be done in a facility. And we cannot afford, I've looked at the numbers, I've seen them, they're primitive, what I've saw.
But there's barely enough money now coming in to pay the expenses. If you continue to keep 3 people or 4 people, whatever's there, on the payroll. If you move them on to county payroll, you've got $100,000 in expense plus your health insurance, plus your pension, they call it on the form. That's an expense that's going to be tough to overcome. And the other thing you do know is that Northeast State has floated rumor that they're not happy with the lease amount. They want it reduced. Why do they want it reduced? Because it costs $50 a student at the main campus, and it's costing several times more per student at the satellite campus. But we don't need to lose, how many more?
10 times.
Do you think that's a real figure?
That's a real figure.
Then what that tells you then is we either need to give it to somebody, give it back to the state, give it back to Northeast State, because if you don't gift it, you're going to wind up with several $100,000 a year that you don't have, that you can't pick up. Point number 2. The other day I floated something I knew was going to happen. Amazon is looking for call centers all over. Now, I said in the meeting that the county mayor and at least the councilor here ought to get their butt to Nashville, talk to the governor, and get him to come up here. The cloud of the office is the only thing that's going to get those people up here and show them the call center that's already ready to go. All the fixtures in their floor, it's ready to go. And I said, target Amazon. What happened? What happened?
They went to Southwest Virginia.
Amazon, 2 or 3 days later, is looking at Southwest Virginia. That's 30 miles away. People, time is of the essence, to quote the former mayor. And we just seem like, now we've got another month to go on the Bailey thing. It's already all over us, and I saw somebody was talking today in the paper about the mess we have now because we're not bailing. And another month, well, maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe they'll set some cardboard on fire in the busters over Halloween, and we won't have to worry about it.
First off, I have been in contact with the governor. And, that's all we can do is, we can't make them, but we're going to work with them. I have contact with the governor. You said so much, float down the river, that's TWRA, I checked on that. Anything we do, we got to go through TWRA. We can't just go out there and start jumping around in the rivers and doing that. I checked on that too. TWRA is in charge of the rivers. We control the sides of the roadways, stuff like that, but the rivers, that's TWRA. We have to go through them. If we go through them, then we might can help, but they're in charge of that. Carter County tomorrow, we're talking with, I think I've mentioned it, we're talking with Northeast State, and we're going to start roundtables with them. And we do not want to lose this school. We cannot lose this school. And that's the reason we need to move now. We're going to end up with that building sooner or later. And I'd rather end up with them in it than them to pull out and we get it back empty. So that's the reason we're after it now. And we're going to try to work out something with Northeast State. But what else is said? I should have took notes.
2 employees will be left.
I'm sorry?
There are only 2 employees.
Two employees. There are only 2 employees. Valuable employees. One of them certified electrician, HVAC, and we have the money, their money will be coming in, so we'll have the money to pay them. So the rent will be coming to finance department or to trustee's office. So we got very valuable employees, 2 employees, that's all. And what we talked, I think it's been discussed before, they'll be under the mayor's office on that. Have we discussed that? We discussed that? That they'll be under the mayor's office. The 2 employees, because we don't have a maintenance department. But, you know, maybe we can start a maintenance department. But we're on track with everything that you said. We're on. Not me. We. So, anybody got any questions on this?
You know, and I know that the Wheeler Street Salatus gets service. And you've got to keep after these people, after them. If you don't, well, you know, everybody's got their own way to do things, but time is running out on some of the things that we need to be doing.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Jenkins?
Can I approach?
Yes, sir.
I won't be long, but I come to you with a heavy heart. For the past months, we have fought over the same issue. We talked about it earlier. And I've spent so many hours awake at night, my wife's about to kill me. Battling back and forth, back and forth. I want to share a thought that I had. So 2 commissions ago, I watched as they fought and as they bickered and as they stayed in the newspaper. And they didn't get anything accomplished. Probably what caused me to run. And, you know, it was just turmoil. The few meetings that I did attend was, just every time I read the newspaper, it made me sick. And then, my first term, the commission showed some promise. We showed some growth. It was a 50-50 split, almost a lot on a lot of votes. But yet, there was some compromise. I know myself, I voted different on both sides of the agenda, and I got flamed from both sides, but it don't matter. It was compromised, and we moved forward. Now we move forward to our current term right now. In our first year, it's almost impeccable. It's probably the smoothest year of commission that I've had out of 5, up to a few months ago. And we let a speed bump turn into a mountain. And I was there. I still don't agree with what was done with the plan. I don't agree with how their budget was done. I don't agree with how the budget or the bonus was done. But I feel that we have to move forward. I feel that we're going to let a speed bump turn into a mountain, and it's going to ruin this commission. Because I've watched a commission be divided by different issues, and it became a big issue. And then they bickered, and we never got anything done. And it was the most aggravating couple years of my life sitting back here and just watching. Now, coming from the opposing side, because I still disagree, and I think we should take steps to not let stuff like this happen. But, and I know that people are going to say I'm weak or whatever. I don't care. It's time to move forward. It's time to move the county forward before we get so stuck in something that it just turns into turmoil. And 2 years from now, this commission is either going to be something that we all can be proud of, or we're all going to look back on and say, damn, we didn't get nothing done. So that's my 2 cents, and I got way off. I sat back here and I wrote 2 pages, but I got way off track. Don't let the speed bump turn into a mountain, guys. I don't know what to do about the situation. I say let's move forward. I can't make a motion to go back on what you did, because I think I voted with you, so I'm not on the opposing side. I can't do that. I'm just telling you guys from experience and from what I've seen, it ain't going to do us any good. I mean, for what it's going to take to go after that, the time and the effort and the money, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it to the taxpayer of this county for us to be divided and not get anything done for the next 2 or 3 years because we started despising what we're doing over one issue? So I beg you, Commission, please don't think bad of me. This is a friend or a colleague talking to colleagues face to face, and this is my opinion. So thank you, guys.
Question for the attorney, is that correct? He was on the winning side, he can make the motion to reconsider, is that correct?
I think the ship has sailed on a motion to reconsider at this point. I think you'd have to make a motion to rescind what was previously adopted.
But, I mean, I was right, if you're on the winning side, you can make that motion, is that correct?
Right, if you're on the prevailing side, yes, ma'am. It's limited to just at that meeting or the next meeting is the latest time you can reconsider something.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, it is on the prevailing side, sir.
Commissioner James?
I was just listening around the line. But clarify me that we can make a new motion and vote on that, correct?
The motion would have to be to rescind the previous action that was adopted, and that takes 2/3 majority. To rescind the previous, if you're referring to your, and I think my battery died, but if you're referring to the motion to require the repayment of the bonus, it's too late to reconsider that, but you could make a motion to rescind that action that was passed, and that takes 2/3 of the commission to pass that.
Well, let's try that. I like that motion there.
What's your motion?
Whatever, pretty much. Y'all know what we're reconsidering.
Make a motion to rescind the bonus that was paid.
I think you're saying to rescind the commission's requirement of the bonus to be repaid. Is that what you're saying? I don't know if it works in your mouth.
So in plain and simple.
Chris don't have to use money.
That's better. I didn't understand the motion. Yeah? I want to clarify the motion. The motion is made for Director Schuler not to have to give the money back. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Well, I mean, you use the word rescind, but I want to get it in layman's terms.
Yeah, what you've got to vote on is to rescind the commission's approval to require him to repay the money. It's kind of like a double negative, but the commission voted to require Director Schuler to return the bonus. You have to vote
to rescind that motion. Okay. That's your motion then, right?
Yes, sir.
That's the second that you have, okay, right? Any discussion on the motion?
Motion. I want to clarify. It sounds to me like you said, the attorney said that we're going to rescind a vote that doesn't mean anything anyhow. I mean, from what you said, it's not going to mean anything because he didn't have to pay the money back.
No, I don't know.
That's the way I understand.
I'm sorry, no. The commission voted that Mr. Schuler was required to pay the money back.
Right.
There's been no official action taken or authorized to pursue that money other than that motion. So that's up to you all. If you decide to move forward on that, then that's another path to take. But this is a motion to undo that to say he doesn't have to return the bonus money, and that's the end of it.
Does that help, Commissioner Rowland? Any other comment? Commissioner Von County?
It seems as though if we're requiring this money back, why don't we require the money back from Jody and the mayor, former mayor?
Well, we did that.
I know you've already passed it. I know you've already, it was the height of hypocrisy, right?
Yes, sir.
To require the one and not the three.
Well, that's what makes a good lawsuit. That's why I hope we fail. I can use my own private money to sue Kim.
We didn't have a second.
Well, you got four.
That's his vote.
Can we vote now?
We are going to vote. Commissioner Von Cannon. Any other questions? This does take 2/3 vote, which would be 16. 2/3 vote, 16. Madam Clerk, call the roll. Motion failed. Commissioner Collier.
Just a comment, I really said this earlier, I'm not saying it out of, behind Benny's back, I said this the other night in the budget. Benny's wife is going through some medical procedures, and he's been working very hard up in Rome Mountain and on the Recycle Center. But please keep them in your thoughts over the next few months,
Thank you.
because she's going through that.
Thank you very much. Any other commissioner comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, Commissioner Collier, second, Commissioner Frazier, we stand adjourned.